Hello everyone and welcome back to my sewing room. If you're new, my name is Diane and this week I'd like to share with you some designs, a fabric haul and some tips on finishing a quilt on your domestic machine. So grab yourself a drink, make yourself comfy and we'll have a little chat. So this little cluster of designs I came up with started in January. I was thinking about making a Project Linus quilt and I was watching Cheryl McGill on Lessons Learned on her Monday chat, and if you watch her Monday chat she has on the design wall behind her a wall hanging of a little cat, and while I was listening to her talk about the things that she had planned for that week, I sort of had my attention drawn to this cat and I thought, well, all the places that our Project Linus quilts go to, hospitals, hospices, care homes, dementia homes, reform homes, schools, all over the place our sector supplies quilts to. The one thing they have in common is they're not allowed to keep a pet, or very rarely. And so I thought, if you're one of those people in one of those places and you're missing a pet, a little cat on a quilt might be nice. And so I looked at Sherry's cat, and then I wanted obviously it to be bigger, slightly changed the design and made a design for the cat quilt, and then I created this cat quilt for Project Linus. It's a good size and it used up lots and lots of bright squares for the background, so it was a really good stash buster. And then thought nothing of it, just thought it was a one-off, and then I had a message from one of our lovely viewers in Australia, and sadly her best friend Bradley the Beagle had died, and I thought I'll make another quilt in memory of Bradley the Beagle. And so I created another design and I made the top for this quilt. I hadn't finished it because I was waiting for a fabric haul. That's what you can see laid out behind me. And then I had a message from one of you lovely viewers who said, oh, could you make me a design for a corgi quilt? Because she'd quite like a corgi quilt and they had corgis. So I thought, I don't know. She said it was the Queen's corgis, a particular breed. So I went online and I had a look at, different stances that corgis made, and I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. So I created the design, which is this one, which again I think is lovely. I wouldn't mind making that perhaps one day. And then I had another request. You can see a pattern forming here. This isn't a request for design requests. If it's a burning thing, perhaps I'll do one, but I am quite busy. But then I did have this request for one of our viewers who would like a dachshund quilt. And she gave a lovely story about her mother working in Mayfair when this lady was a child, and the people of the house that her mother worked for gave her two puppies, dachshunds, which, in London at that time, nobody had seen those. So I had a look on Google, different stances, and I did come up with this dachshund design, which I think is really lovely. One of our dog walking friends had a dachshund and he was very alert and his tail used to be out. So I sort of created that, but I think that would be quite a long quilt. So you could put his tail down, and if his tail was down then it would be shorter. My husband is pulling faces at me through the window. Oh, I wish I could take a picture. Anyway, I'm going to stop now because he's arrived home. I'll get back to you. Well, I've had a coffee break and it's suddenly gone really dark. I've put the light on. I hope it's not too yellow. So dachshunds, made the dachshund design, and then back to quilting. And then I had another message from Glory Grace. I think she lives in the United States of America. I'm not sure, just feeling I had. But she said her twin sister is expecting a baby. Very exciting, and congratulations, hope everything goes well. And her sister was going to decorate the nursery with Peter Rabbit or Beatrice Potter themes, and she said, could I design a rabbit quilt. Now she's already making a gift for her sister, so she wants something that's quite simple to make, not too expensive. And she also asked for some tips about quilting on a domestic sewing machine. In the past she's made quilts and sent them out on to be long armed, but that is quite expensive because obviously the people that do that for business need to cover all the costs, and it's time consuming and the expense of all of the machinery that you need to start up and so on. So anyway, I think she was looking to have a simple design of a rabbit with a simple quilt. So at the end of this I will show you how I completed the Beagle quilt, and that'll be a few tips of how I work on my domestic sewing machine to quilt. But when I received the message to create a rabbit design, I was away for a few days. It was my birthday and we'd gone away for a few days, and so I couldn't get onto it then. I did a basic outline, very simple, of a rabbit silhouette with the ears up, but then I thought perhaps a Beatrice Potter, more sort of cartoony type rabbit, and so I then created this second one. Now this one I really like. I wasn't expecting to make a rabbit quilt, but I think I'm going to do this next for Project Linus. I think he would look lovely if he's sniffing a butterfly, so that's what I'm going to do next. So hopefully next week I'll show you how I get on with that. And next week I'll show you how I turn a simple drawing into the quilt, if you're interested, how I break it down into blocks. So that's all the design chat I had. Oh, one more thing. Amy contacted me. Let me just see. Yes, Amy contacted me from America, and she said that she also loves Beatrice Potter, and apparently she's been collecting the figurines of the Beatrice Potter characters since she was 5 years old. She didn't say how old she is now, but I think she's a little bit older. But she said that last year in America you had some Peter Rabbit fabric out, and so I think it came out last summer, and so there is some Beatrice Potter Peter Rabbit type fabric available in America. But the design that I'm going to do next week, this little one, I think you could use Beatrice Potter squares as a background and just have a simple little outline of a rabbit, his figure, or you could just use soft pastel colours for the whole thing. And then once the child grows out of having a baby blanket, they might still want to keep it as a comforter, and perhaps then as an heirloom, a keepsake from the auntie, the twin of the mother, and keep that blanket. And I think if it's not tied too tightly to Beatrice Potter and just a generic rabbit, it might be able to live a little bit longer in the child's room or the child's life. So just a thought, but of course it's up to you. So, fabric haul, get on to that now. Buying fabric. Well, I suspect there are two sorts of people that buy fabric to make quilts. There are people like me that are on the lookout for a bargain, or not necessarily a bargain, but you're looking for fabric to make a particular quilt, or it comes your way and you use that fabric before you start building a stash. And then you have other quilters who are collectors of fabric. And I think that we look at fabric in two distinct ways. I don't display my fabric around me. It's all tucked away. I grab it when I need it, put it together, and it's gone. I don't hold on to fabric. I don't become attached to it particularly. I might buy some beautiful fabric. I'll use it in a quilt. What's left over I'll process usually into decent sized pieces ready to use in another quilt, or smaller pieces until it's all gone. I know that there are some fabric collectors. So somebody in the UK, Adam Sews, he brings out a video, I think it's Sunday, No, Friday Sews, I think it is. And he makes lots of bags, so you've probably seen his work. It's fantastic. And he collects Tula in the main, other people as well, but in the main Tula. And whenever he has his Friday chat, it is a Friday, all behind him on the shelves there are beautifully folded pieces of fabric, like on a bookcase, but it's fabric, and you can see they're all in collections. And sometimes when he reveals fabric that he's bought, he'll show you and he'll say, we've only got a small piece of this left, or I've been looking for this for ages, or I've had my eye on getting this. So it's that idea of owning and getting hold of a whole collection, just to have it around you. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful decoration, and I can understand why people do that, but I've never been that way. For me, I like to use it.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Well, that was strange, wasn't it? A message from Alexa. Do you think she was telling me something? Do you think she was saying I should collect fabric and have it all around me? I don't think I could cope with that. I like to have it in my possession, use it, and then send it away. I like the thought of someone having that quilt and using it. I'm not a collector of quilts either. I have a couple of changes for quilts for our beds, and I have a couple for the summer, lightweight coverlets, and then heavier ones for the winter. But I don't tend to keep quilts either. I know other people do. They have them displayed all around the house, and all collections of red and white ones are popular one, aren't they? So no, I don't really collect things, just memories, I suppose. So this fabric haul that I've got behind me, I'm a bit uncomfortable with it. But I'll tell you the story of it. On the far side, whoop, there, let me grab it. There were two pieces here, and I've been buying these from Rainbow Fabric. So it's a dead stock store on the internet, and they do ship globally. So if you're interested, you can, pick up some real bargains. Sometimes there's slight defects, but they do say if it is a defect, it's mainly dead stock. So I had a look at Rainbow Fabrics, and I thought, I'll buy some wide backs. In my local fabric store, they don't sell wide backs. They sell yardage or fat quarters. That's it really. They don't sell any of the pre-cuts. And so when I saw some of the wide backs, I thought, I might get some of those to go on the quilts, and they were very reasonably priced, and so I bought some. The pink sateen that I used on the back of the tulip quilt I got from Rainbow Fabrics, and I was very happy with that. It's very beautiful. And then I bought some Robert Kaufman fabric, so I thought if I buy a fabric name I'm familiar with, that should be okay. So the quality of the Robert Kaufman was lovely, and I bought some lovely hearts that went on the back of the heart quilt recently, so very happy so far. And then I noticed Joanne name came up as a designer. Now I know in America you have Joanne's store. I don't know if that's the same, but I thought I'll give that one a go. So I really liked this blue because I thought that would be perfect for either sky, a winter sky, or an ocean if I was going to do a pictorial quilt. So I really liked that one, and at the time of buying that they were offering a free gift, so I thought, okay, I'll have a free gift, and I chose denim. To be honest, the reason I chose denim was because I didn't quite figure out which button to press. I didn't realise you could move the cursor down and have a choice of fabric. I thought you just said, yes, please, I'd like a free one, and they chose whatever it was. You do have a selection of choices. So they sent me some of this blue denim, which is over 60 inches wide. Very nice. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this because I don't make quilts out of denim because it's just a bit too heavy for me and my old bones to deal with. I don't think I'd be able to manage that. So I've got that denim. I've got a couple of ideas where that might go. It won't go to waste. And so the cost of this, it's called Blue Static Marble, and I bought 2 meters. It was £14.97, so that's $18.64 in US dollars, and that was including the postage. And then in December they had a big sale, 60% off, and I thought I'll have some of that, please. Not only was it 60% off, but you also had a free gift. So I thought, well, I'm happy with the 60% off. So I was looking to get wide backs, and I think this is where I've got into a bit of a pickle really, because I've got a lot of fabric now that I'm not quite sure what quilts are going to go into. But let me show you. So some of it is wide back and some of it is regular cotton. So Janet from Jacksonville, Florida, here's one. That was a Joanne because I was quite happy with that blue. So there we've got the monarch butterflies. So Janet is getting her yard ready to welcome in the monarch butterflies in the spring. So I bought 1 meter of that, and then I bought a meter of this blue and green scallop tile. Very pretty. I bought that because I was hoping that it would go with some, I've got 10 fat quarters of aqua tile fabric, and I was hoping it would go with that, but it doesn't. So I've got that though. Still got those 10 fat quarters that I must do something with. And then I bought a meter of this orange red static diagonal lines, and I've got some browns and oranges, and I just think that would complement them in a modern quilt. Not quite sure where, but like I say, 60% off. I will find a place for it. So those were the 3 regular fabrics, and then I bought some wide back. So this one is a black mini irregular polka dot spot, and it's 98 inches wide, 2 meters of that. There were no names on these. And then I bought 1 meter of this, which is a 98 teal irregular polka spot. Then I bought this black and orange large curve, it's called, and that's 106 inches wide, and I bought 1 meter of that. And then I bought sunny orange abstract curve, 106 inches, and I bought a meter of that. It's nice enough quality. It's not the best quality, but it's good quality, and once it's washed and quilted and goes nice and soft, it works for a utilitarian quilt perfectly fine. So it's not necessarily confined to the back of a quilt. So I bought those, and then they also had the tick the box for a free gift. Well, I forgot to tick the box for a free gift, but they must have thought, oh, well, she had a free gift last time of denim, we'll send her some denim. So they sent me this huge, massive black denim. There's over 2 meters, almost 3 meters of this, over 60 inches. It's very heavy. It's a nice quality though. I can't see any flaws in it. So that's 2 lots of denim now I've got. So the prices of all of those were £33.69, including the denim and the post-dem packaging, or $41.96. for all of that fabric. So I did have to wait, but very happy with that. And then while that was still in the post, I wanted some backing for the Beagle quilt. I ordered 2 meters of this polka dot, like the blue, but it's tan. So I wanted that to go on the back of the Beagle quilt. That is what's left over. I have made the Beagle quilt. I'm thinking I might do the rabbit in that. That would look nice. So I'd ordered this one. And this time though, I remembered to tick the box for the free gift. Still 60% off, but I remembered to tick the box. And one of the boxes that you could choose from was Cafe for set or Tula Pink. I've got strings everywhere. And so I thought, yes, I'll have either of those. And so I had this as the free gift, which is beautiful, isn't it? Really, really lovely. And I think this one is Tula Pink. So it's a sateen. So that will come in use somewhere. And then they sent me all of this black drill. I wasn't expecting this, but they said because I'd waited so long, the order took over a month to come, because they'd offered obviously 60% off and everybody jumped on board, and it was the Christmas period just after. I mean, I put these orders on the 27th and the 29th of December, so there was a long delay. So they gave me all of this, and that's over 60 inches wide. There's almost 3 meters of that. And all of that came to £12.19 with post and package, or $15.18. But I forgot to include something else in that other bundle. Let me show you. This animal print. It's got a bit of a stretch to it, but it's really thick. It feels like denim, like stretch denim. And that was put in the big bundle as another thank you for waiting and for my patience. I'm just having one of those days today. I apologise for the phone call. We're going to a pub quiz tonight. That was my granddaughter. Oh, right. So now I have all of this denim and drill. That I'm not sure how I'm going to use those at all. I have all of this fabric, a lot of it wide back, that I'm not sure yet how I'm going to use. Although I do think these monarch butterflies, because on the tip of the wings and on the edge of the design, that it's black with little white irregular spots, and I think that might work. But apart from that, I have no idea. But that's not the last of my bargains. Let me see. Again, more notes. In December, at the end of December, I visited my local fabric store, and they were selling off the Christmas fabric, and I've bought this beautiful cream background with poinsettias on, and there are 3 meters there, and I paid £4.50 a metre. It was in the sale, and so that's $5.61. So I'm thinking of Christmas in July again. I enjoyed that last year, to have the quilts all made, so when Christmas did come it was quite relaxed. I didn't feel the need to make anything Christmassy, and I would like to gift somebody a Christmas quilt. So there's that. And the last thing I bought was a metre of this. It is Rustic Chic by Denise Beasley, I think. So it's quite a modern print, so I will use that. So that's all of the fabric haul that I have to share with you. So my immediate plan is to make the rabbit quilt, and then I will think about this other things. Like I say, ideas just come from nowhere, pop into my head, and a quilt just wants to be made, and I'm sure that will happen. when I've made the rabbit quilt. So now I would like to share some of my tips of the way I approach quilting on a domestic machine. So Glory Grace is looking for a way of putting a quilt together quite quickly and inexpensively, I think. And so the way I tend to create my quilting patterns is to use the pattern of the piece design on the front. So this is one of the reasons that I tend to use 3-inch strips or 2.5-inch strips or squares, is that they form a guideline. So if I've got 3-inch squares across the whole of the quilt or the majority of the quilt, then I can either sew down following the seams across, which gives you a sort of waffle finish to the quilt, like the Beagle Quilt, or I go on the diagonal, which gives a really pleasing crosshatch finish, and it's nice and secure. And most battings that you buy or wadding, that more than covers the minimum requirement of quilting needed. And so on the Beagle Quilt, what I chose to do was, because of the wide expanse of the dog and the black back, I was a bit concerned going on the diagonal that I couldn't hold a straight line. I'm not too fussy about it being perfect, but because the Beagle's back is the centre of the quilt and it was in black, and the thread I chose to use was a silver grey, because that works with the white, it sort of disappears into the mottled brown of his body and disappeared completely into the smaller square. So I used a silver grey, but it did show slightly on the black part of his back. And I thought if I go across the quilt and it was a little bit off kilter, then it might draw the eye. So it was easier for me to follow the seams down, and then if there was a seam on the black, then I just followed that all the way down. Where there wasn't, I could use my 3-inch ruler and lay it along the seams of the 3-inch squares in the background, and then just put it across the darker part, and then I just used my thumbnail and I just scored a straight line. And I think you can just see here that you can make out where the crease is that my thumbnail formed, and so it was enough for me to just sew down, and I did that down and then I did it across, and it looks fine. I'm happy with it. Like I say, it's nice and strong. All of the quilts I make are meant to be used and loved, so I expect them to go in and out of washing machines. That's why I tend not to do very much hand quilting at all, because I do think the machine stitches that I use are stronger than my hand quilting stitches. And so that's it for this week, I think. Like I say, I finished the Beagle quilt, so I'll show you images of that. So for those of you that allow your dog onto the sofa, onto the furniture, there's a nice picture of this one. He's looking out of our window at the moment, guarding the property, and I'll show you the back. And that's it this week. It's been a week of finishing off, of sorting out and getting ready for my next one. If you are still with me, I hope you've had a drink to keep you company. I know it's a bit all over the place, but next week will be lovely, and I will put this Beagle quilt into my shop now, and I'll see you again soon. Take really good care of yourselves, and thank you for joining me. Bye.